10h to the third minus 10x to the third over h. Those two are going to cancel, which is really good because I'm out of room. Okay, so since we're out of room, I'm going to factor in h. Why don't I just erase this? That would be a good idea. All right. Okay. So those cancel, and just instead of rewriting from what I have here, I'm going to factor an h out of the numerator. Okay? And that'll leave me 30. I factored this h out, so it's 30x squared. I factored out one of the h's, so plus 30hx. And I factored out one of those h's, so plus 10h squared over h. So the limit as h goes to 0, 30x squared plus 30hx plus 10h squared. Well, if h is allowed to be 0, which it is now, this term goes to 0 and this term goes to 0. So I'm just left with 30x squared. Check. That's what we have up there. Okay, now the next two are a little different because I have more than one term with an x in it. So whenever you replace the x with x plus h, you're going to have to do it for any x in the function. Let's get rid of this. Okay, this is x squared plus 3x. Okay, so this is our limit as h goes to 0 of x plus h quantity squared plus 3 times x plus h. This part right here, this is f of x plus h, okay? Now here's you have to be careful because, you know, the form says f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So you have to subtract all of x of h. F of x. My earring just jumped out of my head. Okay. Okay. So I have to subtract the whole function, which means I have to subtract both terms. So you want to make sure when you have something other than a monomial, like binomial or trinomial, put parentheses around it. Okay? Careful there. Okay, make sure you have those parentheses. Okay, over here, with our limit as h goes to 0. And we already know how to do this, so that's x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. Then I'm going to distribute the 3, so plus 3x plus 3h. And now I'm going to distribute a negative 1, or just a negative if you want to call it that. Okay, so you want to be careful here. That's a common mistake. Okay, the whole thing's over h. Okay, so remember, everything after this minus sign should cancel. If it doesn't, you've made a mistake. Likely that's where it would be if you did make a mistake. So see I have a positive x squared here and a negative 1 there? They're going to cancel out. Oh, I ended in a preposition, so sorry. Okay, a positive 3x and a negative 3x, those are going to cancel. So I'm left with the limit as h goes to 0 of 2hx plus h squared plus 3h over h. Okay, so from this point the objective is to factor an h out of the numerator so it'll cancel. So when I take an h out of all three of those, I'm going to have 2x plus h plus 3 over h. Those are going to cancel. So you have your limit as h goes to 0 of 2x plus h plus 3. Don't have to worry about division by 0. Let h go to 0. And the whole thing is 2x plus 3. So if we go up here, we know 2 times 1 is 2. Then x to the first And then 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So that's just 3. Okay? So, same thing. Okay, so number 6 is similar to this, but there are 3 terms, but still only 2 of them have the variable. These can be kind of confusing at first, but once you've seen several of them, and you know, I always try and point out the pitfalls, like that minus sign thing. That's an easy mistake to make. So hopefully you're getting this. Okay, so the limit as h goes to 0 of x squared minus 5x plus 2. Okay, so the limit as h goes to 0. Okay, I'm going to keep my f of x plus h separate from my f of x. So this is going to be x plus h squared minus 5 times x plus h plus 2. Okay? This is f of x plus h. Then minus f of x. This is f of x up here. Okay? Use parentheses, brackets, I don't care. Okay. So, ooh, it's thundering. Good times. Okay, so we know this gives us x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. Then here distribute your minus 5, so negative 5x minus 5h. Then we have plus 2. Here you want to distribute this minus sign to all 3 terms. So minus x squared, negative times a negative is a positive, and negative times a positive is negative. All that junk should cancel. Okay, so I have a positive x squared and a negative x squared. They're gone. I have a negative 5x and a positive 5x. That's gone. I have a positive 2 and a negative 2. That's also gone. Okay, so that leaves me with the limit as h goes to 0 of 2hx plus h squared minus 5h. Whole thing over h. Okay, so we want to factor out our h. So that leaves me, take an h out of there, that's 2x plus h minus 5, whole thing over h. Those cancel. So now I can let h actually go to 0, and the whole thing is 2x minus 5. Go up here and say, here the fun. This gives me 2x minus 5, and remember the derivative of a constant is 0. Okay, just a little refresher. Okay, if you have f of x is equal to, say, 4, okay, that's the same as f of x is equal to 4x to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Remember, I showed you in that last video. Well, if we follow our rule of the power rule, we would take, to get f prime of x, the derivative, 0 times 4 is 0, and you'd have 4x to the negative 1. Well, anything times 0 is 0. Okay, so just a refresher of why the derivative of any constant is just going to be 0. Okay, all right, now that's it for this video. And the next thing up is going to be the chain rule, which is pretty easy. Okay, so see you next time.